This is this was actually after the conference. Once the conference finished, they told everybody to hang out and watch some gameplay footage of Assassin's Creed. It starts, of course, with the bird. He's using the bird to tag people.
To poop on people.
Yeah. Are you?
The bird tags people. I love it.
I want to get a sense of things.
Real life.
Do you like this trend of open world games using animals as technology? It kind of bugs me. What do you guys think?
As long as it can fetch me guns.
It depends on if it's consistent with, like, how mystical are they going to make the world that we're in here?
Well, I don't know. He's a Medjay, so.
Right. I mean, it has to be fairly mystical. Otherwise, if that's like the only magic thing in the world, it's kind of like, yeah.
What? It's like the Beastmaster.
Yeah, it's like everything else. Well, the Beastmaster was a magical world.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's like everything else in the world is realistic, except for you can occasionally see through the eyes of an eagle.
Maybe Assassin's Creed should do a prequel to this prequel that goes 10,000 years back, and it's just Beastmaster.
This is just stupid to me, this game.
What?
And just in general.
We're really beating up on Ubisoft.
No,
today.
let me tell you, because they have officially moved away from the one thing that made this series as incredible as it was. That, like, we sat, I don't know if you remember.
Semi-accurate history?
Just when we sat in the room, Chris, we read, like, every single tag that would come up during the Templar era when we played, what was that, Assassin's Creed 2 or whatever it was, with Ezio.
Yeah, that's 2.
Yeah, and so, like,
just the 2 trilogy.
But, I mean, just sitting there and reading all of the history stuff was partly what made the game so sick, and the attention to historical detail. And now you've just combined, like, this weird, you're in 250 BCE. Okay, that's cool.
All right, let's say some cool things, because I did like a few things about this
It's cool
game.
when he kills the lion.
That's coming up pretty soon, actually. So they talk about how loot has rarities. So the weapons have different rarities, and the more rare a weapon, the more it comes with properties that will change up gameplay. So I think later on they pick up a shield, and not only does a shield upgrade your defenses, but it comes, because it's a more rare shield, it comes with a property that every time you defend an attack, it gives you adrenaline. And in this game, adrenaline is kind of spent to do special moves. So you can see how that would change up the gameplay using that shield. And giving up that shield would probably, you'd have to want to give up adrenaline points to that and adrenaline moves. So I think that's an interesting way to mix things up. It's not straightforward upgrading. It's how are you going to, how will the various items you're equipping work together to create your gameplay feel? Am I making sense, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Chris?
You know, it's one of those things where if they do it well, it's going to be great. And if they do it clumsily, it's going to be awful.
Likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great or it'll be awful. There's not going to be like, oh, yeah, it's kind of cool.
There's another thing I really liked.
Balance.
I don't know if I wrote it. I did. Jump over to 1:18:20. And as you do that, I'll explain why. So anybody who played Final Fantasy X should remember that the way they had a skill tree, but instead of it being a tree, it was like a spread out graph. And what you could do is you could sort of move through the graph in any direction you wanted to upgrade the characters as you pleased. And they've brought that kind of mechanic here. Here is the skill tree. You might call it the skill graph. And the way you move through the graph is up to you. You can totally bypass things. You can totally stick to one area of the graph. Like, let's say you're all about the stealth. Well, you might want to migrate over to the stealth corner of the skill tree and just upgrade everything there and create a stealth, powerhouse.
Master.
Or if you like getting out the sword and just sword fighting everybody, move over to the warrior side of, or whatever they're going to call it, of this graph and start upgrading that. Or maybe get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, move over here, move over there. And I think that's a cool way of doing an upgrading, right? Like, not kind of, it's almost like open world graph upgrading. What do you think? How does that compare to the previous Assassin's Creed games, Chris?
So, like, in the last one, you had skills you could upgrade, and you could go between the twins, which was kind of interesting. And they had different features. And it did add different moves and different abilities. And it was good, but I don't know. The whole Assassin's Creed thing, like, I'm a big fan. I've been a fan since the beginning.
Yeah.
But I just, for some reason, I'm having a hard time getting excited here. I'm not sure why.
Yeah. Is it the environment being so deserty and rocky and
maybe part of it? Maybe it looks like they're moving away from the historical
So very
restrictions
tan,
a little
Josh.
bit. Because we don't know as much about the period, right?
Right.
I mean, we can't. It was so long ago.
Right.
So I'm sure that they will stick to what they can historically.
Yeah. It seems, based on what I saw on the map, the names of the towns, I happened to actually do some studies on some of this, seems to be between Alexander and the Roman Empire. So in between, so after the Greek Empire, the proper Greek Empire, they said it's during the Ptolemaic period, which is when the Greek Empire divided into four. One of those four was the Ptolemies. But before the Romans come, which would be about maybe 100 or 150 years after this moment in time, roughly. So it's a era in history where we have a pretty good framework for the way it was,
right?
But not like great detail,
right? And that was one of the things that was so great about the other Assassin's Creed games
to
was
detail,
the conspiracies and the political intrigue,
right?
That was tied to real life events.
Yeah,
and we know a little bit about that. I mean, you would know better than I. From that era.
Well, we would honestly we'd know a whole lot more if it wasn't for the Western Crusaders coming into this area and burning down all the libraries when they did. That's our fault. I mean, Western society.
Tomato.
Western society came in during the Crusades and burned all of their history records, and so we lost a lot because of that. Not everything, of course, but a ton of information.
Yeah. So, but it was really one of the fun things about Assassin's Creed. You know, you're running around, you're like, oh look, here's Leonardo da Vinci and. Here's Machiavelli, and even in Syndicate, you meet Charles Darwin and all these things, and these people that we have all their writings still, and we read about them and we know about them, and there's just not going to be as much of that. And so that's a little disappointing to me, but maybe that's just me.
Now, I've not significantly played an Assassin's Creed game since Black Flag. I really fell in love with Black Flag, and when they went back to more traditional Assassin's Creed style, which is being in cities, I didn't really follow. But was it still true in the later games that you could pretty much assassinate, kill anybody, any NPC, if you got close enough?
Pretty much.
Okay, because they were making a big deal in this that's not possible anymore. That various NPCs have different levels of challenge. They're different levels, and if a character is too above you. You can come up and do an assassination, but all I'll do is take some power away from him, and then you're stuck in a fight.
Yeah, so the older Assassin's Creeds, or in all the Assassin's Creeds, pretty much, if you got the stealth kill, it was always a one-hit kill.
Right. So that's not possible anymore. If you want that, what you have to do is A, upgrade your character towards stealth abilities, B, put on gear that's going to help you with stealth kills, and basically fashion and craft your character towards that sort of ability set. Of course, by doing that, they didn't say, but I presume that by doing that, you're going to lose the chance to upgrade other abilities. Like maybe you won't be as good in a fight, like an open fight, because you upgraded your stealth so much.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because that was one of the things that rewarded stealth, right? If you knew you were going to get a one-hit kill if you stayed stealthy, then it would behoove you to stay stealthy.
Always entice you.
Yeah. And if that's gone...
It could either backfire.
Yeah.
It could be really, really bad. Unless it's cool when he kills
it gives you an
hippo.
incentive to upgrade your stealth side of things, but at the same time, it might take away incentive to play stealthy.
Take that right in the butt.
It's funny how the guy that played this game just wanted to kill all the animals.
Yeah.
Except a kitten. He didn't
Hippos are mean, man.
You might want to just for
animal in Africa.
Just to see it. Why don't you switch over to an hour 34 even?
That hippo looks hungry.
That's a hungry hippo.
Man, sliced him right in the butt.
In 134, we get an
spank.
example of him using some of his adrenaline points to pull off a special move, and it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So let's see this. So this is an example of the adrenaline getting used.
About
So he's
to
finding
be
this big guy.
skewered.
He's built up some adrenaline, and then he pulls off an adrenaline move any moment here. Here it comes. Boom. Oh. And then he takes the spear out the other side. That is such a cool move, and that's how he kills the guy.
And then he's got one more coming up.
So
right through the neck.
So these guys look like it could be Greek, right?
right. And so the way he did that was because he had equipped that shield that helped him build up adrenaline. And then that adrenaline helped him do these fatalities, essentially, these ending moves.
It's a props to them for trying to do something new with a 10-year-old series.
Yeah, for sure. They did. I mean, hopefully this turns out well. But if it doesn't, they did the right thing by taking a break
Yeah.
and really thinking through the next iteration, the next game. you might want to also skip to 135.40 where we get an example of climbing. And they made a big deal here that you're no longer going to see handholds. Like you're not going to know, oh, I can climb here because there's handholds. Instead, they want you to be able to climb everything. Like the idea that something couldn't be climbable doesn't make sense to them. That you should be able to climb anything you see, any kind of surface. So, and here's a nice view. Here's the power of the Xbox One X for this. As you noted before, Chris, what was your impression?
Right, it looks, excuse me, it looks nice, but it wasn't blowing me away.
Right.
But like you pointed out, the draw distances are fantastic.
It's detailed to a pretty far distance. So that seems to be for this game what the benefit of the extra power is. It's just having more on the screen at once. Not necessarily those things looking better, but just having more of it. Which, that's fine with me. I like having a nice draw distance. I like being able to see it
helps the immersion for sure.
Right. Like look how far some of that detail goes. I mean, you would have those mountains in the background, let's say on the Xbox One or on the PS4.
You'd have a lot more fog.
Right, but there'd be a lot more fog. There'd be a lot less trees. It'd be more like a green blur and like a brown blur going off in the distance instead of seeing all of these individual items. And that's kind of the way Assassin's Creed works, right? They build the games for the bottom line, and then they just upgrade them they seem to upgrade them for the other consoles as they need. Doubt this game will come to the Switch though, right? Did they ever mention the
Hope
Switch
not.
for this?
Really like that thing to die a slow, painful
Maybe in
death.
6 years.
Yeah, maybe in 6 years.
Once Nintendo launches its new platform.
Its next underpowered platform.
Yeah.